Alright, so today we're going to be testing the out-of-box experience for SiFive's Unmatched RISC-V computer. If the camera won't fall. Power it on. As the camera falls. And I didn't power it on. Let's try it. And probably because I don't have this. Right. It's got power. Now this is with the SD card. I'm just doing it this way so we can compare it to the experience we have with the Raspberry Pi. I haven't put the OS on the NVMe yet. Yes, it is running. Now the setup I have here is basically we're still booting. Or waiting to boot or something. SiFive suggested that exact power supply didn't fit in the mini ITX case, so I just went small board with this thing, which was actually a lot easier to deal with. I have booted this before. I know it works. Gosh. Yeah. Now just obscuring the the monitor is powered on. You can see it, but there's a little light right there. Graphics card is an AMD Radeon 550 as suggested by the manufacturers. Alright, now we have a white light. Oh, there's a sign. There's a little cursor. Alright. RISC-V in the desktop will arrive eventually. Is the right word for both this situation and reality. Alright, let's keyboard as a mouse. It's wireless. That works. They did load the AMD GPU Pro drivers. Okay, I don't know if it's very clear, but it basically says notes or something. Yeah, color's pretty poor. Alright, something's coming up. Alright, there we are. So this is, now we're in the desktop. Let's try browsing the web. This is the Epiphany browser that comes with the quote-unquote SDK. It's I call it a Linux distribution. It does have make and GCC in it, which allows you to compile programs. Here comes Google. I do have a decently fast internet connection here. familiar with XF. Alright, so I'm going to maximizing the screen, so moving it. There's Google. My phone thinks I want to talk to it. I'm going to close it. Okay, now that is decently responsive. Let's close the notes. It seems to be doing a little better than it did last night. Let's see. So UG part. I have an NVMe in here, but I haven't set it up yet. It's a little more complicated than a regular install. You actually have to take the NVMe out, plonk it in some other computer, and then, I mean, I could format it, try downloading OpenSUSE onto this thing, but I've got a lot of time. So this, so it shipped with a 32 gigabyte SD card. This is the NVMe over here. Now let's do restart time. About time to get a cup of coffee. I haven't had this successfully restart before, so we'll see what happens. Wow. And every other time I try to restart this thing, I've actually had to hit the power button. I don't see, I can't tell whether it's actually restarting or not. Just kind of sits there. Now the graphics card, something else, because the fan doesn't spin for the graphics card. It only spins when it's booting. It does have a power button, but I think power it off, power it back on, just do it again. Pushing the button. It is impressive that something that was, I don't know to what extent, designed and created in 2010 at UC Berkeley actually is running an operating system at this point. What I can't tell at this stage is whether the little SD card that's on the board is being read from yet, or if the system is still trying to figure out where it is, or what. Not yet, but I'll call you when I get there. I'll do that. I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that, and then just on your end restart the computer. But yeah, I'll do that. Okay. All right. All right. So. There we are. I haven't really looked at the specs of this HD Radeon 550, but I'm sure that's not the reason why it's so slow. It'll probably do fine in a Core i9. Of course, it's not really fair to compare this to Core i9, but sorry about the phone call interruption. Oh, coffee. I have talked to a someone who is much more adept at using things that aren't actually, hardware that isn't actually, and software that isn't actually the standard thing, or doing things that are kind of on the edge of exploration. And he did say that, maybe I'll just power this thing off. He did say, take this graphics card or whatever. He did say that it could be the SD card. Now this is the SD card did come start. Let's just look at the board itself. It's got like 4 USB ports, an Ethernet drive. I haven't really checked the speed, and I probably should have did that on camera. It seems a little slow. There is an orange light coming up, and I don't think I have a bad cable. I might have a bad cable, but this is that's the fan. So it does come with, a RAM stick, fan, and CPU that makes it different from building a board. These are the 2 buttons I was pushing to power or reset or whatever. You have to put in your own lithium-ion battery in it. Get your own graphics card. This did not come with the board. This is one of the graphics cards they recommend, and this power supply is the size they recommend. But the problem is that it doesn't fit in the mini ITX form factor as they suggest, or at least the one that I had. Now I might have had an older design or whatever, but it does have AMD Radeon drivers loaded up. What's strange is that my monitor here wasn't producing sound before. It might have built-in speakers, and I just haven't got them to work on another computer I have, but I'm thinking it might not have any sound coming out, but it is loading an Intel driver for sound. When you do cat proc CPU info, it tells you it's a RISC-V. To be honest, to be brutally honest about this, well, not being brutal, just being honest. Not what you would expect. I mean, compare this to Raspberry Pi. Now the voltage is, I think it's 240 volts or something. Might be watts. I'm not an electrician, dude. I'm not much of a hardware person either. There's a pin setting that eventually I'm going to put this on the NVMe and I'll do another boot up with it. And there's some pins that barely, or switches like right there. It's set to boot from the SD card right now. The SD card is housed on the board next to the network card, which is the yellow cable, so it's to the right of it. It's like, wow. It was really frustrating to try to build this thing, put it in a case. I finally decided just to go small board with it. Basically, that's what you typically think of a small board computer, something just sitting. It's not a small board computer, but and it's a bit ridiculous to have a graphics card that is about the size of the whole and complexity of the whole board itself. There's our mouse. I guess I'll stop it here. I mean, anyway, that's basically the deal.